So my history and background and experience in teaching high school English is what led the aviation department to have me develop and kind of refine and retune this course. And there's a lot of writing in here, obviously. Your communication intensive assignments are definitely all about writing, but they're more about formatting actually than writing. But anyway, this lecture is meant to kind of go over those two things. It's writing tips and professional writing, and dig into a couple of your assignments a little bit. So I'm going to just do a basic overview about writing in general, just remind you what it's for and all that kind of fun stuff. We're going to go over chapters 2 through 5 in writing for the technical fields. I'm going to do an overview and then focus on the memo, but really I want to give you kind of some tips on what to focus on in those chapters and what you might need to remind yourself of in those chapters. And then we're really going to dig into writing versus formatting, and then there's some rules or guidelines about professional writing as well. So why do we write? Okay, writing is one type of communication, and it's kind of funny because I think overall as a human race, we communicate very poorly over writing. Texting is a good example of that. You never know what the person sending the text actually means. I mean, you kind of know what the words mean, but like we should be talking to each other more. And this whole thing is ridiculously ironic in an online course, where I'm not physically talking to you. But anyway, writing is about communicating, and we're horrible at communicating as human beings in general. So another part of writing, though, that people forget about is making it look nice, whatever it is. Okay, and when I say look nice, I'm in this context, I'm really talking about look professional. Okay, look clean. And I've got probably 2 people in my life that I am ridiculously close to, and I totally swear they can read my mind. But they definitely can't. It feels like they can sometimes, but they really can't. And nobody can read your mind. You got to be able to communicate. Okay. So this whole module is writing heavy. Okay, it's about communicating and writing, and I would argue that the larger focus is on formatting than on writing, but there are a few things you need to remember. Okay. So chapters 2 through 5, I don't necessarily want you to pick up the book and read it from cover to cover on chapters 2 through 5. The only exception is if it's been a while since you took English 1010 or 2010, or if you BS'd your way through English 1010 and 2010, okay, then you might have to actually like pick the book up and read it. So as an example, chapter 2 is all about technical sentences. If you don't remember what a subject and predicate are and how to write a proper sentence using a subject and a predicate, you need to read chapter 2, and you probably need to retake English 1010. Okay, those are huge. But the chapter also talks about conciseness, and it has this really cool couple of graphs that are replacement words and phrases. Like if you use this, try this instead. That's probably my number one go-to for chapter 2. Very, very useful spot. It helps you kind of develop your identity as a writer. And when I'm using the term writing here, we're really talking about technical writing, okay, reports and stuff. So you still have a personality, you still have a tone, all of that goes into play when you're doing reports as well. So probably, again, chapter 2, top spot, pages 26 through 27. The language parts on pages 29 through 31, they are more of like, if you're trying to accomplish this with your language, use these words. If you're trying to accomplish this with your language, use these words instead. And it kind of gives you some purposes for language and some words that you can use. So it's a good spot as well. Chapter 3, just like chapter 2, if you don't remember these things, retake English 1010, but also please read the chapter. If you don't remember that paragraphs have a specific structure, you need to read that chapter. So the first sentence of a paragraph is called something, the next sentence is a specific type, the next sentence is a specific type. Okay, if you don't remember any of that, please read chapter 3, because you are going to have to write very good paragraphs. So you have your topic sentence, your transition words and sentences, your purpose, your analysis, your examples, okay, all of those things go into writing paragraphs. And so if you need to review that, review chapter 3. Chapter 4 is parallelism, lists, headings, and layout. So a little bit of everything here and there, basically. If you don't remember parallelism, please read chapter 4. Okay, it's using the same verb tense. If you have no idea what that means, read chapter 4. It talks about why we make lists in our writing. Lists are actually supposed to be for the purpose of clarification, not brainstorming. If we are brainstorming on paper in a professional document, you're actually just supposed to write it out as a sentence and put commas in between things. The actual bullet points list is for clarification. And they actually recommend you use it, and I recommend you use it. I'll show you an example here in a little bit. Because bulleted lists can help break up paragraphs to where the person doesn't feel like they're just staring at words on a page, line after line after line. There's actually a pretty good spot in chapter 4 where they've got images that I can't even remember what it's called, but there's a title up at the top and then line, 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 and then it shows you here's what it looks like with bullet point lists, and it does make a huge difference. The top place that I would use in chapter 4 is pages 58 and 59. You have different list formats. In other words, when do you use bullet points? When do you use dashes? When do you use numbers? When do you use letters? That's what that section is all about for 58 through 59. Heading formats is a good one too, 60 to 63. It talks about when you use specific types of headings, when to bold, when to italicize. And then it talks about serif fonts and sans serif fonts, which I would definitely review. And I would put the list formats, like if you can only focus on one thing in chapter 4, those list formats would be what I would suggest focusing on. Chapter 5, though, you might want to dig into a little bit more. Number 1, because you have an assignment to rewrite a memo, but number 2, it has a lot of really good information in there about how to write and why you need to develop yourself, like the professional side of yourself when it comes to writing. It goes over format in pages 70 to 71, and then it dumps into etiquette and netiquette, and then rules and guidelines I'm going to focus on towards the end of this lecture. But good reviews, good examples in there, and then it talks about style and tone in professional writing. So first, really quick, in Module 3, you guys have a memo example. So one of the reasons that we do still have a writing focus and specifically a formatting for writing focus is industry feedback. This memo, which the very last paragraph on this screen is the actual memo. Okay, this was a memo sent out by, I can't even remember, one of the airlines, I think. And it was brought to our industry panel several years ago as a bad example, as a what not to do. So I think there's definitely a few words and phrases in here that have been changed or modified to not point out the real company. But anyway, the feedback was, please have students learn how to write, learn how to format. And you know, everybody takes English 1010 and 2010, but this is where an industry, one of the leading industries in the world, says, dude, you should have paid attention in English 1010 and 2010, because we're having to reteach this. So that very bottom paragraph, memo that you need to rewrite, and industry's request is, please learn how to format, please learn what that is, and please write professionally. Please develop yourself as a professional writer. So this assignment is one of the first ones you get to practice that in. Okay. So why I keep referring to writing and formatting. They are actually two different things. They go hand in hand together, but they are two different things. Writing is the words on the page themselves. Formatting is what those words look like. Okay, for example, I read this little tiny conclusion paragraph, and I'm just going to read the words, okay? Conclusion. Flying a glider is a blend of skill, knowledge, and a deep appreciation for the natural world. It's an activity that challenges the mind and body while offering unparalleled moments of peace and exhilaration. Those are the words, okay? That's writing. Somebody wrote that. But what it looks like, it is in what's called block style, which means it's not indented, okay? And it has a header or a subhead. Conclusion is bolded. And it's just one word all the way to the left, and then the paragraph starts right underneath that, also all the way to the left. And the paragraph isn't bolded. All of those elements that I just pointed out, that's formatting. Okay, so as an example, this is writing words on a page. Okay, up at the top it says flying a glider is an exhilarating experience that combines the serenity of silent flight with the thrill of soaring through the skies. Here's a brief overview of what it's like. Introduction to gliding. Gliding is a form of aviation where the aircraft, known as a glider or a sailplane, is designed to fly without an engine. Pilots rely on natural atmospheric phenomena such as thermals, ridge lift, and wave lift to stay airborne and navigate through the sky. Okay, those are the words on the page, and there are many more words on the page. And you can't get away with putting words on a page without at least accidentally doing some formatting. This document is also in what's called block style, just like the previous conclusion paragraph, which goes with this document. Okay, just like that one is, everything's to the left. I personally prefer block style. Most professional writers do. Most creative writers like to indent like normal. Okay. Anyway, block style. This is what the same document, the exact same words on the page. This is what it looks like if you do some formatting. So each of the headers and subheaders are bolded. Keywords are bolded. There are 2 levels, actually, no, 3 levels of bullet points. There's numbered and sub-bullet points in the experience of flying a glider section, and then down in the joy of gliding section, there's regular bullet points, okay? And then you have your conclusion paragraph. So side by side, these look like completely different documents, even though the writing is exactly the same. Okay, word for word, it's exactly the same. It just helps understanding. It helps aesthetics, okay, what it looks like. It helps everything. It helps readability if you actually take the time to properly format something, like the one on the right-hand side, okay? Your Communications Intensive Assignment 2, CI Assignment 2, it's all about formatting, okay, all about formatting. So huge focus. All right, professional writing overall. These are about the first half of the guidelines that are in Chapter 5, and I only focused on the first half because the second half is specific to emails, okay? But the rule of thumb for being a professional writer is essentially the same as being a professional human being, okay? You need to take everything pretty seriously. So guideline number 1, remember you are creating a permanent record. that one's big. Okay, remember you are creating a permanent record. Emails can be pulled from 50 years ago. Emails can be pulled. Maybe not quite 50 now. But anyway, it isn't casual, right? Especially on the job. You need to present yourself and your writing as above casual. Don't be hasty. Give yourself some time. Okay, if you're in a hurry, you're definitely going to screw up. Do unto others. Okay, don't say anything mean, obviously. And then select recipients carefully. Whether you are creating a presentation in writing, whether you're creating an email, whether you're creating a memo, whether you're creating a report. Okay, and then clearly hand off responsibilities in your writing. Be concise. Set aside time. Don't be hasty. Kind of go together, and then respond promptly. Okay, when you get emails, 24 to 48 hours tops to respond. Do not take longer than that. And then don't overemphasize things. I would argue you probably could every once in a while, but when I say once in a while, I'm talking about once every 100 pages. Okay, it's not concise language. It's actually emotional language, and that is not necessarily a good thing. So again, those guidelines are the second half of Chapter 5, and let me know if you guys have any questions.